But the other thing was this HR professional calls out how dystopian it feels to have to go to our jobs amid tragedy. And they've got a new term, and they said we need catastrophe leave.
Yeah.
And so this basically, it's like an HR person that's, got a LinkedIn and TikTok and the whole deal, and just their whole, they went to one of these programs on how to decolonize a business, you know what I mean? So they've got all these wacky ideas. But the funny part is, if you want to talk about taking a logical extremes, if you give these type of people catastrophe assurance, it's like, well, they ain't ever coming to work because everything's a catastrophe. You go, work today after they just got rid of maternity leave in Arkansas.
I just like that.
What isn't a catastrophe?
Well,
with these people?
even the list of ones that they did use, where they're just like 9/11, the Great Financial Crisis.
Well, there's
like imagine you're just like,
there's an argument for like an American tragedy that millions of people killed. That maybe. I mean, even if you do go to work, it's probably going to be a lighter day. I mean, I'll tell you, like people that work in our industry, like a few days after this happened, it was you kind of wasn't the time to make that sales call.
Yeah, whatever. I mean? But I guess, but like just the idea, you're like the global financial crisis is one. You're like, hey, I can't come into work today.
There's a global financial crisis.
Like you work at a bank. What are you talking about?
You have clients.
Yeah, you're like, you work at a bank. They need you right now more than ever. And you go, it's a global financial crisis, though.
There was a big terrorist attack on New York City. I'm not going to come in. Where do you work? The hospital. Oh, fuck, catastrophe leave. The main problem is, like, again, there isn't it's not the craziest thing, like, if it's a big enough thing, but the problem is everything is a catastrophe with these people.
Yeah, of course.
So she's an HR professional. This is the Jared Korshner type of professional. I think organizations need to start using some kind of catastrophe leave or something, because this is not normal to see something horrific and then be expected. Like, they would want a month and a half after January 6th, for sure.
Oh, yeah, January 6th would be a big one.
Like, every company would be shut down always.
Yeah, for sure. You're like, no.
And then because it's not normal to see something so horrific and then be expected to lead a meeting about marketing. Nobody cares about marketing right now. I mean, the shareholders probably do.
Yeah.
It's also another thing. It's also just goes back where...
What size company do you need to get to where you need an HR person?
I know there's laws about it too.
Is there?
Yeah.
Like there would obviously probably be some like weird
I think it's 100 employees.
There'd be like
a lot of
some
them
weird incentive to just keep it at like.
What do you mean? You don't know that? There's a million reasons for that.
What?
Well, after a certain amount of like full-time employees, you need to pay the like.
No, but
there's a million things.
Yeah, I guess. Or no, I'm talking specifically.
I think it's there's tiers, right? It's like 100. 100's a big tier. 500's a big tier. 10's a tier for some stuff.
So then you just keep it at 99. You'd be like, just
yeah, that's what people do. Yeah, well, that's why they have. And then no, a lot of times people keep it at 99 and have a lot of like
off the
contract.
Yeah,
workers.
contractor. Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, that is a huge. I mean, that's the argument that's always going back and forth. It's like you can make these regulations. All it does is prevent growth and blah blah.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've been having those conversations forever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
I don't know if there's like a legal requirement or if there's just like once you get to a certain size, you just kind of need.
Also, there's like minimum wages only apply to certain sizes, right? There's different. There's just a million different laws for different things, right? Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of times these people that went to school for sort of decolonization or whatever, they kind of. They don't, the same way you're saying they can't take their things to their logical extreme. They're not really able to see the full picture. It's like with your dad, right? It's like a lot of times it's just they see their, company is just like their dad. It's like, well, why can't I have more money? He's like, oh, you don't have any more money. He's like, well, get it.
Yeah.
So it's like there isn't really a should or shouldn't. You're like, well, for some companies, you're like, we'll just go on, we'll just be on leave 6 months a year and be like, okay, well, what if we don't have enough money to pay people? And like, we'll get enough money.
Yeah, we'll get it for, that's not really, I'm in HR, so that's not really,
that's not really my problem.
I'm in the money making division of this company.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should work harder at making more money. And you're like, well, you keep telling me that everyone has to take a fucking half the year off.
And they do.
Yeah. So it's just these weird, you're sort of like, there isn't like a right or wrong. It was like there might be an individual case where you go, hey, this company's like working people to the bone, and it was like I don't know if today was the day to like work people to the bone after something crazy, but on a broader scale, you're just like, it's situation dependent.
That's true.
You're like, what if this company's on the brink of going under? You're like, well, everyone's taking a week off.
Yeah, everybody roll up their sleeves, and you're like, no.
Yeah. It is clinically here, but it gets better than that. That was the first part, but it gets better than that because they just come up with the new terms. These guys have HR guys have a lot of time on their hands to come up with stuff. But then there's another new term alert: vicarious traumatization. It is clinically proven that witnessing events secondarily or online in news is equally as traumatizing.
Oh God, stay off of Twitter then.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Be like, I've been witnessing them vicariously. As they stop witnessing them, we go, that's not going to be an option.
Yeah, it's not going to be an option. How could you just turn a blind eye to such atrocities? Okay, well,
Johnny tried to take the day off because he said the tampon thing. He goes, you didn't hear they got 2 fucking rated male tampons at NYU.
He barely wanted to take a day off when he got hit by a fucking car and send it a spin cycle.
I go, how much time do you need for the tampon thing? He goes, a couple months to do it. It's clinically proven that witnessing events, it's not just your imagination. It's not because we've gone soft in recent years. This guy, he wants to clear that up.
He goes, we're not soft.
Nothing to do with that. I want to make that crystal fucking clear, pal. In recent years, studies have repeatedly shown that exposure to the horrors that regularly blanket not just our news programming but our society feeds is actually traumatizing. I mean, I sort of agree with this to some degree, that it is probably true that people's brains are getting fried from I mean, I just did a video that like it's probably not good for you to just watch like videos of dead babies all day long.
Fuck no.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, agree, but probably the answer to that is like they're not even willing to have a conversation of whether they should stop doing it because the problem is their opinion is like everyone should be involved. You should be tweeting nonstop. You should do all this, and it's going to mess up your brain, and that's your boss's problem. As opposed to just being like, and probably also we should maybe not do that as much.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, that's just like number one. So much advice to everyone is like, how many people have we known over the years that are like mental wrecks and they argue on Facebook every day, and you're just like, until you're willing to stop that, there's no helping you.
Of course, yeah. You got to try. I mean, you got to turn off the screen.
You're a fucking
unplug.
Yeah, and you. Some people can handle it.
Advice for August Ames.
Some people play the game like, I've even noticed like younger generations are more equipped for it in the sense that like, do you know, even like the Sneakos of the world?
Yeah.
Like those guys play internet like more of a game. Like they sort of they almost, I don't know if they would describe it like this, but to me, I've just noticed a little difference between the younger version. They almost play like they're a character in a reality show.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of these guys sort of like know I'm playing like the situation and my life's just that. So in their relationships and they sort of know that they're, people are going to hate them and they're playing that role. I think better than people from our generation where it's like, not definitely better than people the generation above us who didn't even grow up with 100%. It. But so I think it does also age just specific because some people have like sort of internalized the full picture a little better. I think us being internet guys have sort of probably somewhere in between, but
yeah, I think so. But yes, I mean, if you grew up with nothing but this, then.
But scientists and mental health professionals call this vicarious traumatization, and it means our brains quite literally cannot differentiate between a violent image we see on a screen and ones we see firsthand. So I don't know about that. Were you saying it's equally as bad?
Yeah, that's not equally as bad. I could see 40 dead babies.
Well, someone's wife was just killed. Someone just watched like a whole bunch of people get massacred. They were in the school that the shooting happened, and you go, yeah, well, we're in the exact same scenario.
Thing, because I watched
and David Hogg experienced the exact same thing.
I watched the live stream on Facebook, so
man, have you heard of vicarious traumatization? As a trauma victim, and you go, what was your trauma? You go, well, I was in Sandy Hook. I was in. You go, what do you mean you were in them? And you go, I watched them. And you go,
on the news.
I watched the documentary about them. Basically the same. The stats are in. Mental. That's going to happen really soon, where there's going to be TikTok channels of girls that have vicarious traumatization.
Oh, for sure. Especially if they can start getting something for it.
Woo, vicarious traumatization is going to pick up, man. Yeah. Worse still, a 2013 study found that in some cases, it's actually more traumatizing to witness a traumatic event secondhand than it is to actually experience it in yourself.
Okay.
So I think now we're pushing it.
Yeah, that's mental. That's the stupidest thing. It's one of the dumber. But
so this guy is basically saying you and someone that's like
anything for
someone
time
that lives in the Gaza Strip, you go, it's actually worse for you.
But again, if you think of it from like the perspective of you're like, yeah, someone who's trying to just get out of work.
Yeah, you have to think of it.
And you go, yeah.
You do have to think of it like that.
That was like my joke.
You're missing a key factor here.
That was my joke with the Global Day of Jihad, where I'm like, I'm not putting it past like it's just like some fucking little Jewish boy who just knew that if he started this Global Day of Jihad rumor, he'd get out of school the next day.
I know.
You know,
he's doing a jihad on that break room
on this fucking Xbox. I want to tell you.
He's doing a jihad on his manager's scheduling.